Well, good evening. Thanks for joining us at the Post Rock District Live. My name is Sandra Wick. I'm the crop production agent for the Post Rock District of K-State Research and Extension. Well, I was planning on being out in the wheat field tonight to share with you so we can look at some wheat, but as you know, Mother Nature sometimes doesn't cooperate with us. There was wind gusts and gales out there, which you all know that because you probably have been planting your soybeans or corn out in it. So I just decided to bring the wheat and bring it to you from my living room again. So let's just start and kind of review just a little bit of kind of what went on with the wheat. If you remember about a couple weeks ago, which would be on Tuesday morning, April 20th, we had some pretty low temperatures. Not as low as we had a year ago about this time, but along with the temperatures, we had about 3 to 5 inches of snow, which actually the snow helped us a bunch, and I will explain that in just a minute. So we are fortunate that we have K-State Research and Extension Mesonet Weather Data Library stations here in north central Kansas to help us out with monitoring those temperatures in case you guys don't follow the temperatures as close. We have those weather stations in Jewell County, Mitchell County, 2 in Republic County, and 1 in Osborne County. So with those 4 stations, we were able to get a pretty good record of what those low temperatures were. So it ranged from 26 degrees at one of the Republic County locations to 28 degrees at all the other locations, which would be Jewell, Mitchell, and Osborne. So we're going to show you some charts and things that kind of help you understand how those low temperatures may or may not affect the wheat. So 2 things. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes unless you wait that 10 to 14 days, which we are right at that right now. And there are 2 main factors that you have to look at. That stage of development and then the temperature. Not only just the temperature, but the duration and the degree of those temperatures. So there's a publication that K-State Research and Extension has to help you. So we're going to tell you about all these tools that will help you determine and look at that wheat. It's up on the screen there, and it is the spring freeze injury to Kansas wheat. So that tells you all about the injuries, what can happen, what you need to do. So there's a chart in that, and we're going to pull it up here for you to kind of explain it just a little bit more. On the in that blue line there, it shows you the stage of development. So as you can see up at that top on the left-hand side, that point there says just sprouted, just emerged. Then that would be last November. Down at the bottom there, it has where it has the most resistance, which would be in the January, February. Then we're coming up April and May at that top of that where it says jointing and then boot and then bloom and then soft dough. So as you can see, the jointing is where we are right now, which is the top of the chart on the right-hand side. So as you can see, it's anywhere from 25 to 30 degrees that it can be down before you're going to get any damage. So in that regard, we are very fortunate because we were at the early jointing stages about a couple weeks ago. You know, since then we've had that good moisture, that 3 to 5 inches of snow. We've had some warm temperatures. So that will help us determine what effect it had on it. That 3 to 5 inches of snow actually helped insulate that wheat from when we had, you know, some other low temperatures, maybe the next day. Out in northwest Kansas, they had some teens. So right here in this area, we were maybe 24 to 28 inches in some of the low areas. You know, the low areas are going to be a little bit less. All right, so with that tillering stage, you can get down to 12 degrees for 2 consecutive hours. So we were past that tillering stage. We were more in the jointing stage, which basically it's where the joint or that growing point, and I went and pulled some wheat this afternoon. So this wheat's more than 12 inches tall. You can see there's the top of it. Here's the roots. So the joint is that bump in the stem where that growing point is. So we've got 1, 2 nodes, okay? 2 nodes above it. So we are well into the jointing stage. That can be 24 inches for at least that 2 hours. So as you can see, there could be some areas that got that, but the majority of it stayed within that 26 to 28 degree range. So it should be pretty good. But let's take a look at some wheat, because I went and pulled some wheat just this afternoon just to kind of look at it. And I'll tell you what, this wheat has taken off and has grown significantly since the cold temperatures. And that's probably the first thing that you're going to look at is all these new leaves. Because if these leaves don't take off and grow, then you know that this head's probably damaged down here. Now, I'm not saying there couldn't be some burnt leaves or some scorched leaves up here at the top, because that's probably the first cosmetic thing that happens when you have low temperatures. But then what you need to look at is the growth that occurs after that and all this new growth that comes. Alrighty? So what I've done here is I've pulled these plants, and I'm going to show you, because here's the entire plant. If you feel these nodes, you're going to feel where that top node is. Slice it open, and you're going to find that head pretty close, pretty easily here. Shanna's going to put a picture up here that kind of shows a little bit more close. See, there's that head right there. That looks perfectly fine. The color isn't as good there. It looks more white or yellow, but actually that is a green head growing in that wheat stalk. So that's what you want to look at, is the color of that growing head. On top, in addition to these leaves growing. So the next couple pictures that we're going to show is just more of a close-up, because that's a nice developing head. See if it's green, it's greenish white, turgid, firm, and that firmness will allow the water holding capacity of that wheat head and the plants to go on and uptake and absorb the moisture. Now here's another picture of a damaged wheat head. So you can see how that one's more whitish, creamish. It's more shriveled up. That's what you look for when you're like splitting these stems to find that. I've looked at a lot of wheat, and I am just not finding this right now. So we are very fortunate at the stage of development that we were in, and that, you know, it had quite a bit of canopy on it, so that kept the temperatures higher. If you are questioning what your stage of development is, and also at the top here, I'm going to put up a black piece of construction paper, because you're going to see, if I can open up this top leaf here, you're going to see this flag leaf is already starting to poke out. I'm going to put this black piece of paper. There's a little flag leaf right there. So you can see the head is down there where I've kind of cut it open, and there's the flag. Whoop, we'll scoot this over here. Sorry. Okay, and there's the flag leaf. So you can really tell when I put up this piece of paper to it. So that flag leaf, that's very important in this stage of development, because that's the part of this plant that you want to keep healthy, because that's what goes to filling that grain in that little wheat head. If you have a question, I'm going to stand up here, on what your stage of development is, K-State Research and Extension has this wheat growth and development chart for you. Free of charge, no charge for it, I guess I should say. All the other crops also have some wheat growth and development charts. Why this is important, because when you apply herbicides and things, it will give you information on when's the right growth stage to apply some of these herbicides. So I'm going to move this up and move it closer. We are about, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to move my wheat over here. We are about in peaks 7 and 8. And here's where we are, because it talks about the nodes. Peaks 7 would be your second node is above the ground. That's where we are about right now. This peaks 8 is where the last leaf before that flag leaf comes out. And here's where it talks about the flag leaf. So we're probably 7, 8, and 9 peak stage, which is the jointing stage. And a lot of your herbicides will mention about apply them after the tillering stage or applying before the joints. So that's why it's important to know some of these growth stage. But that chart is very, very handy to do that with. Okay, So we looked at the growing point. We talked about this new growth that is very, very important to look at. So if your wheat is growing like this and you're getting new leaves out, the flag leaf is healthy, chances are your wheat is fine and you don't have any damage on it. Okay? Some other things that may be happening on your wheat. I didn't see any on this wheat, but I have seen some other wheat, and I didn't see any, but a lot that I've seen here that can be caused by the cold temperatures is your stem right down in this area. I'm going to pull these leaves off. Your stem right here will be a purple color, okay? That's just an effect of the cold temperatures as well, because what happens is at this time, that stem is putting up a lot of sugars in that stem to go to the leaves. Well, that purple color then is the reaction of all those sugars that accumulates right down in the stem, and it turns that purple in color. So some people may get that mixed up with the lack of phosphorus, because that can also maybe show some purpling, but it's just pretty much staying down in the stem area because that's probably at the time that the cold temperatures affected that wheat. Now, sometimes the leaves may turn a little purple too. That could also be an indication of phosphorus, but I'm just not seeing that now. It's because of the cold temperatures on the purpling of your stems. Okay, so I hope that answers your questions on the effects of the wheat. I'm not seeing that really any effects at this point. We were fortunate, again, that we didn't get down in the teens in this area in north central Kansas. I have seen some fields, though, that did have, some brown tinge to it. But people also need to understand, or producers need to understand, that when you fertilize, it can also burn the wheat and burn the tips, and then the wheat will come back. So don't get that confused with, the cold effects, and fertilizing can burn it as well. So lastly here, I want to invite you, Shanna's going to put up information about our Post-Rock District wheat plot tours. We are going to have in person this year, the end of this month. Last year, we had to go virtual just because of the pandemic, but we are planning on hosting 5 different stops. So we're going to have a West tour, which includes Smith County and Osborne County. So we'll start in the morning, have lunch, and then have the afternoon. And then on the east side, we'll start with the Jewel plot at 10:30, have lunch, and then we'll go to the Lincoln plot. We will finish up where we're going to all meet together at our the K-State replicated Mitchell County wheat plot, which is south of Beloit at 4:30, and then we'll finish with supper there too. So again, you can see all of our sponsors. I'm not going to go through that, but we really, really do appreciate all the sponsors that we get for our wheat plot tours. So join any of them, and you don't have to register. The flyer is on our website if you want more details where the location of those plots are. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be putting the signs up. So it's very interesting to go look at all the different varieties, so you can see that if you see any differences in the wheat varieties. Shannon's put up there our website that you can go and look at the varieties and where those locations are. Again, it's www.postrock.ksu.edu, and then go to crops on the left, and then the drop-down box that says test plots. So then you can go to those, and it lists all the varieties as well. And the flyer is there. We'll be there shortly underneath the events. So again, thanks for joining us tonight. If you have any questions on your wheat, once you go out and look at it or something and you had a question, just simply give me a call. I'd be glad to go out and take a look at your wheat, and we can meet together, but just let me know if you have any questions. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.